If I had to pick a genre of video games that I prefer over the others, I think it would be the JRPG. I've been experimenting with a number of JRPGs over the years, and I'm thankful that I have. Pokemon Ruby was the first JRPG that I truly sunk my teeth into, and since then I've been discovering the likes of Final Fantasy IV, Final Fantasy VII, Earthbound, Skies of Arcadia, and as most of you know at this point, Golden Sun, hands down my favorite JRPG in existence, as well as one of my favorite games ever made. Hell, just recently I discovered this obscure GameCube JRPG called Baten Kaitos, and maybe I'll talk about it in the future. Maybe. I honestly don't know yet. I've always loved the sense of adventure in JRPGs. For me, JRPGs tend to have the best stories and the most memorable characters, and some of the best music in any video game. Well, in my opinion, anyway. I know not everyone can get into this genre. I know a lot of people can't get into the turn-based combat and managing a full party. It's a lot to take in and wrap your head around, especially if you're new to the genre. But JRPGs have been scratching an itch that I've been having for a while. I find myself getting more engaged in JRPGs than most games nowadays. So you can only imagine my intrigue when an indie RPG called Indivisible popped under my radar. Indivisible is an RPG made by the same people who brought us Skullgirls, an indie fighting game that, well, certainly made a bounce in the community, I can say that much for sure, but just hearing that this is an RPG was enough to grab my attention, because a lot of the well-known indie games tend to be the retro-inspired, hard-as-balls 2D platformer. Now, I know there are other indie RPGs out there, but there aren't enough that get the attention that other games like Shovel Knight has, with the exception of Undertale. I still have to play that game. I thought that this game would do just fine in terms of raising money purely because the guys behind Skullgirls are making this, but God, I was dead wrong. As of the 30th of October, when I started working on this video, they've only managed to raise $500,000 of its $1.5 million goal. The worst part about this is that they only have 2 weeks until the campaign is done, less by the time you're watching this, and if they don't raise that money by the time the campaign ends, then that's it. No Indivisible. And that's why I'm here today. I want to give this game some exposure and talk about my experience with Indivisible in the hopes that this gets fully funded before its deadline. I may not be the right guy to do so considering I don't have 11 billion subscribers, but I don't care. I'm going to do what I can to tell more people about this game, even if it's too late. Though I should stress that this isn't a review, rather a first impressions video, so please keep that in mind. And of course, if I missed anything or forget any details mixed up, then please let me know in the comments. So now you might be asking, what do you do in Indivisible? Like I said earlier, it's an RPG, but it has some elements of a 2D platformer mixed in there for good measure. And I have to say, the 2D platforming is pretty solid. The controls feel good, and you can dash by either running for a certain amount of time or by tapping the directional button twice, and you can even wall jump. The most satisfying part about the platforming, for me anyways, is the fact that you can climb walls using an axe that you find laying around. It has actual weight, so it feels like as if you really are scaling a wall. I don't know, I just thought that it felt really good. Weight is such a huge thing when it comes to platformers, so I'm happy to see that they got this aspect nailed. But seeing how this is an RPG, let's talk about the combat mechanics, what tends to make or break RPGs for a lot of people. Well, it's simple in theory, but it's difficult to master. As you play through the prototype, 3 other characters will join your party, and each character is assigned to a button on your controller. You attack by pressing the button when it's your turn, and you block to reduce damage by pressing the button when the enemy is attacking. If you win a battle, your party will gain some HP that you might have lost during the fight. And thank God, too. Aside from Razmi's special move, I couldn't find any other means of healing. And that kind of bites, because when you die, it's game over, whether or not the members of your party are still alive. Now, despite the fact that I actually liked Final Fantasy XIII, I can safely say that I didn't like that aspect in that game, and I especially don't like it here. Again, it's simple in theory, and that's something I can say that I really like about the combat. And I'll try not to sound too harsh considering that this is a prototype, but I think this can use some work. The characters are laid out how the A, B, X, and Y buttons are laid out on an Xbox 360 controller. So if you wanted to attack as a character who's facing to the right, then you would press the B button. But here's the thing, the character's button gets changed if the character's position is switched. So if a character who was facing to the right is now facing left, the character's button gets changed from B to X. This may sound like a small issue, but this actually threw me off a number of times. If you're going to be playing this, then just remember that the character's formations will always reflect the button layout on your controller. If you can do this, then you'll be fine. It just takes some getting used to. The second issue I have and this could just be me, so take this with a grain of salt, but I swear to God, there have been times where I try to block, but the characters won't respond. And it was especially frustrating when I was fighting against the boss of the prototype, and I would take massive damage because the game said it didn't block when I was pressing the button at the right time. Whew. Now, I know you have to have some of your meter charged in order to block attacks, but there were times where I swear to God, I was pressing the button but nothing was happening, despite the fact that I still had some of my meter charged. Now, again, this could just be a problem with my controller, but I still felt as if it was important to bring up. Hell, it might just be me sucking at the game for all I know. But I should stress that I do like this idea, and I want to see this reach its fullest potential. The idea for the battle system is a great one, but I just think it can use a little bit more work. But that's not all there is for the battles. You also have this meter that I previously mentioned on the top of your screen that, when filled, allows you to activate a special move. Each character has their own special move, making each character feel unique. These special moves can range from a barrage of attacks to Razmi's healing ability that I mentioned earlier. As you progress through the prototype and you fight more enemies, you'll have the ability to attack multiple times in a single turn. Like in Final Fantasy IV or Chrono Trigger, you have to wait for a meter to fill in order for you to attack. Eventually, that meter will break off into 2 smaller meters, allowing you and the rest of your party to attack multiple times. This is what sold me on Indivisible. When you get a good rhythm going, the combat can be so satisfying and so much fun. Each character has 3 attacks as well. If you hold up on the D-pad, then you'll attack multiple enemies at once, and if you hold down on the D-pad, then you'll unleash a powerful attack that targets a single enemy. But if you aren't pressing anything on the D-pad and you just press the attack button, you'll just do a standard attack that damages a single enemy. I've always liked attacking multiple enemies at once. Sure, I may not do a lot of damage considering that the damage has to be spread out, but hot damn if it isn't satisfying. Attacking multiple enemies combined with the gorgeous animations and the sound effects that sound like as if I'm hitting the enemy really hard makes the whole experience, well, satisfying. And I'm pretty sure that you noticed that this is a key word that I've been repeating throughout the video, but if I can describe this game in one word, it would be satisfying. That is, until you kill an enemy in a large group. Then the party stops attacking for some reason. I would have preferred it if they moved on to the nearest enemy and continued attacking, that way my combo wouldn't go disrupted, but I can see why some may deem that overpowered. Like I said, I just wanted to give some food for thought. I just felt as if it disrupted the flow a little bit. The last issue I want to bring up is the boss that you have to fight at the end of the prototype. Now, go ahead, make fun of my YouTube name all you want, but I honestly think that the boss could have been just a little bit easier. This guy attacks so fast, and it makes it feel like as if it's almost impossible to block at times. Now, combine this with the previous issues that I mentioned before, what with the disorienting controls and the issue I had with blocking, then this fight was more frustrating than it was engaging. It also doesn't help that he attacks you before the fight even starts. I just felt as if the boss could have been a bit more newbie-friendly, you know? But hey, maybe my name says it all. Who am I to judge? But truth be told, if they can polish up the battle mechanics just a little bit, then this could easily be one of my favorite battle systems in any RPG. I'm dead serious, it's just that satisfying to me. Hell, I've gone all this time talking about the platforming and the battle mechanics, and I haven't even brought up this game's art style. This game is freaking beautiful if you can't already tell, and looking at some of the art makes me kinda sad because, well, this game might not happen. Again, that's why I'm making this video right now. I know this wasn't a super in-depth video explaining every single detail about this prototype. That's because I want you to try it out for yourself. See if you can find anything that I might have overlooked. And if you're worried that it won't run on your computer, don't. It doesn't take much to run the prototype at all. I don't normally ask this, nor do I plan to in the future, but please, spread this video, any video about Indivisible around. Let's raise awareness for this game. Let's do what we can to ensure this game's release. Because I don't know about you, but I want to see how these characters interact with each other in the story, and I want to explore the world that the designers have planned. I want to see this game get funded, so I'm doing everything in my power to do so. If you're interested in funding Indivisible, then I have a link in the description box that will take you to the Indivisible Indiegogo page, and there you can see what kind of awards that you get from making a certain amount of donations, and you can see all the kinds of artworks they have there, and the character designs, and a whole bunch of other hoopla on the page too. And yes, I do plan on making a donation sometime in the near future. Also, if I heard correctly, they are releasing this prototype on the PlayStation 4. So if you're a PS4 owner, then I implore you to check it out. To everyone at Lab Zero, thank you for releasing the prototype, and I wish you the best of luck. I really do hope this gets funded because you have this great idea for a game, and I want to see it get through. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that's all the time I have for you today. Thank you for watching. God bless. Have a great day. Take care.